So, as I said, I gave this a bit of a clean and it's looking pretty damn smick already. So I'll just leave that as it is for the minute. And now what I'm going to do is concentrate on taking out the valves. So I'm going to try use the same trick as I did with the 2.25 petrol. So the trick I use with the 2.25 is basically using a standard clamp, and I've got the that to put in on the top here, okay, and then by pressing the clamp here I'm able to then remove those collets. Up here, obviously that goes onto the valve, and I've got this side here clamped up, and that will then receive the collets. So I'm just going to go slowly now, and what I'll do is I'll a little bit more. You can see how it's, hopefully you can see. Try to shine a bit of light on there. There's one of them. Okay. Finally. And now what we'll do is we'll slowly undo that. I don't want the springs popping out. Okay, springs looks to be sound, don't seem to be broken, and hey, we've got the actual seal there still. That'll be replaced. And now we just try to get that out. I'm just making sure there's no grit on there. Okay. So I've got all the valves out. I'll deal with those later. They came out all pretty easily, no issues there. So I'll just pry these out. Now these are going to get replaced anyway, and so I'm not too particularly worried about doing damage to them. Just want to pry them out slowly. Okay, so here we have a first cut. All I did was I put a bit of the high pressure hose on it. I was just being careful not to put too much around the hot spots, but I think it's turned out okay, given that I still need to work on the decks. But all around the valve ports and so on came out a lot better. So I'm happy with the result. So I'll put this one aside, and what I'll do next is focus on looking at the valve surfaces and probably cleaning those up, decoking them. So that'll be good. And yeah, what I'll do now is I'll clean up these other bits and pieces, and while I've got the gurney out there, so at least that'll be done. Right, so I've started cleaning the head, the deck in particular. What you're seeing here is a bit of oven cleaner on there. These heads are cast iron, not aluminium, so it's safe to use. But what I'll do is I'm actually going to now start using more mechanical methods. So Scotch-Brite, WD-40. I actually bought this wire brush as well, and that's going to be to help with cleaning up threads for bolts, and also hopefully can use those to clean the back of the valves, so that I can remove the carbon on the front and back surfaces of the valves. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rinse this off and start then applying the WD on there with the Scotch-Brite pads and see if I can remove the remainder of the carbon. The amount of crud that came out when I hosed off the oven cleaner, it certainly does the job, that's for sure. So it's looking a bit better. Now I'll start using the Scotch-Brite and see if I can get some of that remaining staining off, particularly around, you can see there's a bit of a build-up around the hot spots here. So I'll see if I can get rid of those. But so far looking pretty good. I think this is probably about as much as I'm going to clean the head. There's still a little bit of deposits around the hot spots there, but all in all I'm quite happy with the way it's turned out. This sheen here is the WD-40, that's all. So the next thing I'm going to do now is lap the valves. Now I've already put them through the bench grinder and clean them up as best as I could, removing as much of the deposits as I could. So that's okay. And what I'll do is I'll lap them in like I did with the 2.25 petrol, using a lapping compound and a suction cup, and just working my way through, and hopefully I can get a nice clean surface. Now some of the seats are quite good. You can see this one here is nice and shiny. This one over here looks a little bit pitted, but overall I think the condition is that it's going to come out okay. So this is the tool that I used last time. This is the dual one. It's got a fine and a coarse. I'm going to start off with the coarse one just initially, and then I can make my way to the fine one. Forgotten now how slow this process is, but at any rate, making some progress. Right, so I have now finished lapping the valves and cleaning it all up. I just gave it another high pressure hose clean out. It's not perfect, but certainly for me at the moment it's fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to clean all the valves and springs and so on, and I'm just going to put everything back together so we end up with at least a completed head. Obviously I'm going to have to replace the valve stem seals. Now a bit confusing because here I have the ones with the springs on it, and here's a whole bunch that don't. And doing a bit of a quick Google, it seems to be that the ones without the springs are the ones for the exhaust, and these ones are the inlet. So far I've got two in there. It's a bit of a fiddly process getting the collets back in, but all doable. I've put the valves in there after I've lapped them and cleaned them up. And on the back here, it's all sitting there nicely.